Frey is an attorney and a former elite marathoner who financed his financed his law school with his running earnings. He's a newly elected council member. He brings new energy and knowledge to the 3rd Ward, and it covers the central riverfront, parts of downtown, including the North Loop, and northeast Minneapolis. He's a supporter of strong population growth, of adding jobs and keeping young families in the city once they've had children that reach the school age by creating more public school options. Although many of you heard him speak at the Candidates Forum held at the Ritz Theater last year, tonight we have the privilege of hearing him speak to us about his viewpoints and issues that face the artists and the Northeast Arts District. Thanks. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you so much. It's really good to be here. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Chow Girls. This was actually one of the earliest locations that we had a major campaign event, so about a year ago now, so it's really good to come back as the council member for this area. While I really don't personally have a major arts background myself, I was, as Carmen mentioned, predominantly interested in the running. The rest of my family was all artists. Both of my parents were professional modern ballet dancers. They danced for the Lubavitch Company in New York City, and then went to the Netherlands, danced for the Netherlands Dance Company, and then ultimately moved back to the States. So I grew up with a whole lot of dancers. My sister is an artist. She specializes, she does kind of like a women's empowerment. She does basically naked women in the woods is her thing, the female body. She would probably have a much more artistic rendition of than that, but she's very good. And she's, right now she's out in California. But, go figure. But I understand from when I was very, very young the value of art, not just to artists, but to everyone. And I think there are a few places that exemplify that methodology better than where we are right now. In the 3rd Ward, about 20 years ago or so, North Loop was a dump. It was dangerous. There wasn't a whole lot going on. There weren't many eyes on the street. And then what happened? The creative class, they came in, they rejuvenated the area. They occupied some of these older warehouses that were previously dangerous. A nice cool coffee shop went up, a boutique, and then next thing you know, it's thriving, and then it got gentrified a little bit, and then the artists couldn't afford it anymore, and then they went across the Plymouth Avenue Bridge, and now they're in Northeast. And I think what you've seen very much so in the last 10 years is the same people, the artists, have pulled Northeast up by its bootstraps. And what we need to make sure happens in the next decade, in the next 8 years or so, is as this area continues to progress, as this area becomes a gem of our entire city and region, we need to keep the creative class here. We need to. So I am a proponent of several things. First, I am a proponent of subsidized housing for artists and the creative class. And as soon as you say the word subsidized, there's a lot of people that are flip out. It's not, I'll tell you, it's not necessarily politically expedient, but I believe it. Second of all, I am very much for loosening the regulations that inhibit small and local business owners, and artists, by the way, they are small and local business owners, from opening and setting up shop. And I'll tell you, I am the vice chair of Community Development and Regulatory Services, so I actually will have some impact on that, and I will be revamping how we do business in the city in the coming years here. And I'll give you one kind of example story that probably would resonate with some of you. Picture an art opening in Paris. Someone walks down from their flat, that's in an alley, they set up a card table, they put out a bottle of wine. They go over to some vacant industrial building where there's a wall that's not being used at all. and they hang 2 or 3 of their art pieces. Next thing you know, you have 20, or maybe they put out a stereo and they've got some tunes playing as well. Next thing you got 20 or 30 people coming by, checking out the art. Maybe they purchase a couple items, and I think it adds to the community. It increases safety, and that artist is probably then able to pay rent and live for the next couple months, possibly. Now, how many of those things could you do in Minneapolis without getting sacked with like 10 tickets? Like none of them. You can't put up the card table because you need a business license. You can't hang the art on the wall because it probably violates some sort of ordinance. You need a liquor license to have the wine. To the music, you need a sound permit. Problem, hurdle, unnecessary, ridiculous. So I think a whole lot of those we need to streamline, and I think you see this problem happening in real time at Art-A-Whirl every single year. I mean, I watched, I don't remember which artist, who it was, but they were serving pretzels and, I mean, who cares? Pretzels and maybe they had a glass of wine or something, and it was shut down for a period of time. I don't know if that was last year or the year before, but the creative class and an event like Art-A-Whirl adds so much to the community in a creative context, in an artistic context, in a business context. And if the city is limiting the ability for all of you to practice your trade, I think we're doing a major disservice to ourselves. So look for major loosenings in some of these restrictions that we presently have. So, you know, I'm a politician, I could talk for quite a while. But how much time? And then I was going to just ask you, open it up to a couple questions. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
So, anything art-related or not art-related, I would love to give you the rundown of where I stand. Yes?
Are you kind of up to speed on the Arts Action Plan that was instituted by our kind of organization, or did it happen back in 2005?
No.
All right. We'll send you that.
The arts, what was it? The arts,
The Arts Action Plan was a 15-year plan.
No, you know what? Actually, yes, I have been. I just got the whole rundown from well, a few people, but most recently Dougie Padilla. So he talked my head off.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you talking about changing some of the zoning and ordinance type things for private residences to allow them, should an artist have a home studio, it could become a gallery without violating any commercial zoning ordinances if they're in a residential area?
No, I hadn't thought about that. That's an excellent idea, though. And we've got a new chair of the Zoning and Planning Committee. Her name is Lisa Bennett. She's extraordinary. I think that would be right up her alley, and I'm perfectly so. If you could shoot me an email with kind of exactly what you'd like to see, I think it makes sense on its face. But if you could just shoot me an email, it's by the way, my email is jacob.fry@minneapolismn.gov. I'd love to pass it on to her.
Because I was shut down.
Is that right?
Yeah, I have a gallery in a residential area unbeknownst to me. You just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have people coming and going from your home,
Yeah.
you know? It's
I'm probably in violation with that right now too. So.
Yeah.
How do you feel about artists living in studios? That ever happens.
Never happens.
Here's the way that I look at it. Well, Mama don't hurt her. No. No, you know, it's I mean, there are reasons that some of these regulations are in place. The problem is that they're at times overused, that there's an unintended ramification that you didn't initially expect, and that's one of them. And I mean, it's really hard to make ends meet when you're trying to make it as an artist a lot of time. I know it was really hard to make ends meet when I was trying to be a professional distance runner for a time. And I was living in an apartment, I was living in a closet that was $80 per month. I couldn't put my feet on the ground because they would hit my mattress and the wall at the same time. And Yeah, it would have been a whole heck of a lot easier to go down and live in the locker room or elsewhere. But yeah, I think we need to be accommodating is the best answer I can give to you. And presently, I think there are some areas where there could be some improvements. Sorry for the vague answer. I apologize. Anything else?
So artists don't have the silver tongue that a lot of sales and marketing guys got, so we kind of need to be alcoholic beverages.
So the so-called what?
We need some alcoholic beverages to help out with it. So there's just been this paranoia the past couple of years about people shut down if you serve beer, wine.
Yeah, I mean, blankly, I think there should be an exception there. I do. And something else that I'll add is that you need to find ways to. I mean, artists are really good at art. Sometimes they're, as you pointed out, not as good at the selling aspect. And that's where, if possible, I would really like to help out because not just in Northeast, but if you go just across the river in North Loop, there is a burgeoning class right now of yuppies that would love to get their hands on some of the art that's happening right now on this side of the river. And I think what I can help do is facilitate some of the communication between these two sides. And it's not just North Loop. You got the yuppies over there, you got the empty nesters down in the Mill District. And the problem that I've seen is far too often the focus in terms of the arts community is in this direction. So in other words, it's focused towards the Guthrie, the Walker specifically. It's focused towards that, and that, but I think we kind of need to turn around. So as I talked to Tom Hoke about having this whole, Hennepin and First Avenue sort of avenue, that avenue shouldn't just end at the river. It should be a point. It should be an arrow facing towards Northeast.
Across the bridge.
Yeah.
So now that you mentioned that, the proposed trolley is a little problematic in that way as well because it does just come across the river, but then it just it doesn't come into Northeast, and it certainly doesn't serve the arts district. Right.
Well, that's not definitive yet. I am a big proponent of the streetcar. I think that it'll add tremendous investment, and there are areas that'll get. By the way, I'll take a step back. The proposed plan for the streetcar is presently it starts on Nicollet, somewhere in South Minneapolis, probably around Lake Street. It'll go down Nicollet through downtown, all the way to First Street, so like along the river. It'll make a left on First or right on Hennepin, go across the Hennepin Avenue Bridge, go right through, Surdix, Gramerchak, all that, and then it'll make a left on Central and go out an undetermined distance. There are certain, and the main reason, by the way, I'm for this streetcar is not the transportation aspect, although that's great. The main reason I'm for it is twofold. It's one, just the cool factor. It's being able to tell your friend from New York City to come on out and take the light rail down to Nicollet Avenue, stop, hop on a streetcar, and I'll meet you for dinner like 20 minutes later. That's cool. It's dynamic. It makes the city fun. But it's the big piece is the investment that it triggers. In other cities, it's been shown to trigger about $1.2 billion worth of investment along the corridors in which it's placed. On this corridor, you're not going to get a whole lot more investment downtown. It's already pretty built up. Where you will get investment, however, is along Central. So the further that we can push it out, that initial line out Central, I think the better. Because I do think that Northeast needs to benefit from it. And what I believe was actually Councilmember Wright was very intelligent in doing is part of it's called the value capture approach. It used a building that was on this side of the river. So how can you possibly capture the value from a building on this side of the river to pay for the streetcar if the streetcar doesn't come here?
Right.
So it will come here. It will. And I would like to make sure that the initial line goes as far as possible. Anything else? Well, if you have any questions or you need anything, please do not hesitate to give my office a call. The phone number, which I just learned today, is 612-673-2203. So I'd love to hear from you. I'm really excited to work with you guys down the road. And if you have any brilliant ideas, pass them on. Thank you.